This presentation puts Open Allure in context relative to other forms of communication. Open Allure is voice and vision-enabled educational software for people to use to communicate knowledge. It's designed to fill a gap in the technology currently available and help people to communicate using computers in a more natural and effective way. We all first learn to communicate by speaking and listening. This form of interaction is the most natural for us, so Open Allure aims to mimic it by listening to what you say, watching for visual cues, and responding verbally. You can have a conversation with Open Allure. Conversations are limited, however, to the people present at that place at that moment. In this diagram, let the vertical axis indicate more people. To communicate with more people, we use our fingers to substitute for our mouths and create text, which our eyes can read in place of our ears. The text can then be widely distributed through both space and time. Now let the horizontal axis indicate how much the communication is like real life. From text, we move to recordings of sound and image. These can be widely distributed to lots more people through broadcasting. Looking to the future, as we've just passed into the era of mainstream high-definition TV, we can expect broadcast to become even more lifelike by moving on into 3D displays. But thus far we've been talking about what I'll call passive communication, where the consumer is not the creator. There's another side to communication technology which is active. The consumer is a creator or a peer of the creator, as in natural conversation. The most obvious example is the telephone, which carries a conversation to a distant place. But once again we find that using our fingers and text enables us to reach a wider audience. Now one can view our interactions with the big content sources on the internet as conversations with large groups of people. These are conversations where you produce a short text string and the internet responds in various ways. Again, looking to the future, we can expect this conversation to become more interactive and lifelike, more like a telephone conversation, and then more like a face-to-face conversation. So where is the gap in the current technology? A book contains one side of a conversation in the form of text. A film script uses actors and recordings to convert the text into another form of static, one-way media. Twitter is like a fragmented script where each line of the dialogue text is created on the fly by the people in the story. What's missing is an on-the-fly dialogue system, which responds in a dynamic but scripted way. Content creators can use an interactive script to converse with multiple consumers at different times and in different places. Open Allure does this, recording a conversation as text on a wiki page or in a text file for distribution over the internet. To learn more, go to openallureds.org.
I think the important thing about Wikimedia for us is that it's the easiest way to explain to non-programmers what free software is, because they roughly get how Wikipedia works. So if you say, well, free software is like Wikipedia, but just for programs. So it actually serves a very useful marketing function. And obviously the downside is that everyone's jumped on that bandwagon, there's wiki this and wiki that. But nonetheless, it's, I think, indicative of the fact that people know that there's something big here to do with sharing and to do with collaboration. Indeed, you could say that the current millennium is very much turning into the millennium of sharing.
Instituting a peer review process, a process of unlimited third-party scrutiny, very similar, in fact, to what scientists do with scientific experiments and engineers do with blueprints. And what I noticed in that paper was this works really well. It works really well for eliminating bugs from software. And furthermore, I noticed that the Linux community seems to be a social machine that was designed to maximize the amount of peer review that Linux got. And I concluded that this probably accounted for the fact that the Linux community was breaking all of the normal rules of software engineering by having a very large, dispersed, disconnected community and very little in the way of central planning, but producing high-quality software anyway. You see, according to traditional software engineering, you're not supposed to be able to do that. According to traditional software engineering, if you're going to produce something that doesn't have a lot of bugs in it, the project group needs to be small, tightly focused, rigidly controlled. Now, that's not a very good description of the Linux community. And yet, somehow, they were breaking all the traditional rules and producing an amazingly high-quality operating system, and I zeroed in on this peer review phenomenon as the explanation.
Every education system in the world is being reformed at the moment, and it's not enough. Reform is no use anymore, because that's simply improving a broken model. What we need, and the word's been used many times during the course of the past few days, is not evolution, but a revolution in education. This has to be transformed into something else. We have to recognize that human flourishing is not a mechanical process, it's an organic process. And you cannot predict the outcome of human development. All you can do is, like a farmer, is create the conditions under which they will begin to flourish. So when we look at reforming education and transforming it, it isn't like cloning a system. There are great ones, like KIPS, it's a great system. There are many great models. It's about customizing them to your circumstances and personalizing education to the people you're actually teaching. And doing that, I think, is the answer to the future, because it's not about scaling a new solution. It's about creating a movement in education in which people develop their own solutions, but with external support based on a personalized curriculum. Now, in this room, there are people who represent extraordinary resources in business, in multimedia, in the internet. These technologies, combined with extraordinary talents of teachers, provide an opportunity to revolutionize education.
The biggest games in the world today are measuring more than 1 billion points of data about their players, about what everybody does, far more detail than you'd ever get from any website. And this allows something very special to happen in games. It's something called the reward schedule. And by this I mean looking at what millions upon millions of people have done and carefully calibrating the rate, the nature, the type, the intensity of rewards in games to keep them engaged over staggering amounts of time and effort.
Conway's game of life illustrates complexity arising from recursive application of simple rules. In his book, A New Kind of Science, Stephen Wolfram shows how rules that are extremely similar can produce quite different behavior. The hypertext rule, click to follow a link, gives the World Wide Web a branching structure, while changing the rule to allow dead ends results in pathways through the structure. Think of the ways maps help us to reach destinations. Directions alone, like hypertext links, tell only which turns to take, while a map also shows which turns not to take. OpenAllure implements map-like navigational support through verbal responses to choices, providing feedback via text-to-speech for each step along a path. Let's take the simplest example first, where OpenAllure offers no choices but simply steps through a linear path shown graphically in the background. This demo shows OpenAllure visiting 3 web pages and commenting on them.
This script will walk and talk through several web pages. First is the world clock. Then we move under script control to Google New Zealand. Notice Google is offered in Maori in New Zealand. Finally, we open YouTube for a video.
Welcome to OpenAllure DS, a voice and vision dialogue system in Python. Now let's add webcam input and show a use case of stepping through a recipe from across a kitchen. As I move my hand, notice how the shadow will now overlap the text, and if I dwell on it long enough, it actually makes a selection.
To cook some delicious New Zealand green-lipped mussels, start by chopping up an onion.
So I can go chop up my onion.
Select the pan with a lid and pour in a tablespoon of olive oil.
I get my pan, For nonlinear interaction, OpenAllure scripts can anticipate ad hoc questions and parse them to provide matching responses. Here's an example.
Vygotsky's zone of proximal development suggests a learner can only reach a minimal level of understanding working alone. A learner can reach a higher level with help from someone more proficient. Scaffolding helps the learner reach the higher level.
But now we don't want to answer this because we don't know who Vygotsky is. So we'll ask, who is Vygotsky?
Lev Vygotsky was a Soviet psychologist who lived from 1896 to 1934. Biography. Collected works online in English.
Now let's add voice recognition. This demonstration shows some of the voice response capabilities of OpenAllure. Start listening. Do simple math.
Okay. Try some 2-operand math, like add 2 plus 2.
Subtract 5 from 7. Enter.
Subtracting 5 from 7 gives 2.
Define experiment. Enter.
The act of conducting a controlled test or investigation.
Now let's add web-based authoring. In Etherpad, we can just type our question. What do you think makes the sky blue? The color of sunlight? And put in a variety of other answers and responses. And this Etherpad is immediately accessible by the Python that's running.
What do you think makes the sky blue? The color of sunlight. The color of the air. Something else.
And finally, let's see how interaction data can trace the learning path graph.
Hello. This software allows you to talk using the computer's voice. Press 1 to hear more, or just type something to chat. Your computer is reading a script. You can write your own script to make computer say whatever you like. Press 1 to learn how, or press 2 for more general information. Use your text editor to open the file called start.txt. Come back and press 1 when you are ready, or press 2 if you need more help. What do you need help with? Finding the file called start.txt, or starting a text editor.
Hello, everybody. Let me introduce myself. My name is Allison. I'm the latest American voice from Loquendo. I can speak with genuine expression and emotion. Wonderful! Amazing!
This software allows you to talk using the computer's voice. Press 1 to hear more, or just type something to chat. Your computer is reading a script. You can write your own script to make computer say whatever you like.